today I'm going to share how you can alchemize more of some of the greatest wealth there is, and that is relationships. And more specifically, how to go from feeling like a lone wolf to discovering your soul tribe and the feeling of connection and support that you can have when you go through this process. This is your invitation to become the alchemist of your life. You decode your heaven on earth and go through the alchemical process. The alchemist is a master of himself so that he can master life. People thought alchemists were turning lead into gold, but they're really crystallizing their soul into form. Alchemize your golden potential. Welcome to the Golden Life. Welcome to the Golden Life. My name is David Gilbert, and today I'm going to share how you can alchemize more of some of the greatest wealth there is, and that is relationships. And more specifically, how to go from feeling like a lone wolf to discovering your soul tribe and the feeling of connection and support that you can have when you go through this process. And I'll just start off by asking you, have you ever felt like you just quite don't fit in, or you're struggling to find those like-minded individuals? And I can speak from my own experience. Being in that place where you go through what we're going to talk about, the process of growth, and with that, the unforeseen kind of negative aspects, and then having to re-find your tribe. But I know that with enough persistence and patience, it will happen. But today I want to share some tips from my own experience to hopefully make that process a little bit easier for yourself. And then at the end, I'll also share how you can get plugged into one of the most impactful communities I've had the honor to be a part of. And it helps to acknowledge that walking the path to embody your highest potential is not an easy one, right? It's the ultimate peak, the mountain of you. And when you commit to personal growth, you'll eventually have to grow spiritually if you want to continue to grow. And when you go down the spiritual path, it will get lonely for a period of time. But that doesn't mean you have to walk the path alone. But this is to really highlight one of the downsides of growth. And that is, as you start to grow, you realize that your friends, your network, or what I call your network, has a massive amount of influence on you. So when you decide to break through to that next level, sometimes you outgrow your network or your friends. And the network, what I call your network, is really just your group of friends that you interact with on a consistent basis. And they have more influence on you than you know. And pretty much they're kind of operating on the same frequency. But when you choose growth, when you choose to evolve, you sometimes outgrow these networks or people. And this can be one of the hardest things to deal with. And vice versa, not only do you kind of sometimes, not always, sever these ties from these old networks, but also you start to enter this phase where you're walking through the metaphorical dark forest. And like I shared in a previous episode, I know how I felt like so much of my life of being that lone wolf. And I could fast forward today, and now I have my soul tribe. I have my brothers in arms or allies on the path. And you absolutely have the potential to do the same. Right? Going into my own story, I know that after college, I moved to San Diego, and I found myself partying a little bit more. I coped, like I shared in a past episode, with past pain by numbing myself with substances. But while in San Diego and maybe partying a little too much, I'd then meet my now wife, Alyssa, and eventually we move in together. And then I'd move up to LA for the dream job. As I also shared in a past episode, highly recommend you go listen to that to just instill inspiration and possibility if you haven't. And we went through this phase of got the dream job in LA. And as we had this miracle happen that we were able to come back to San Diego, not only was leaving to LA was a restart in of itself, but as well as coming back, because this was committing to my own growth. This was committing to my higher vision. And with that, we started over in LA, but we had a miracle happen and we got to move back to the beach in San Diego. And this is where I cut ties with the old friends. And when we moved back to San Diego, that's when we had our newborn. And there's nothing like a newborn to really be the pressure for you to step into your potential, especially as a man. And this is to say I was more committed to personal growth and building my future for my family, my own kingdom, my empire with my family more than ever. And I intuitively knew that this meant not falling back into the same party friends. As much as I love them, it did not serve me at that time to, with having a wife and a newborn, to get sucked back into that, because we are so influenced by those we keep around us. But the hard part of that was it got really lonely and hard to relate. It felt like starting over. And being a parent too, your time exponentially or your freedom exponentially decreases. So it's even harder than ever to meet new people. But then for myself, I heard this call for a mastermind in 2019. This was with Aubrey Marcus, and I've been listening to Joe Rogan and Aubrey since the first time he was on Death Squad and on it and everything else. But for me, I heard this opportunity. Now, it was a massive investment, and at the same time, I knew I was going to be around other like-minded people, that were all into human optimization in all areas of life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But I decided to push through my comfort zone of what I was comfortable paying, push through my comfort zone to go to this place and meet new people, especially as an introvert, and to just put myself out there that this was something. I was craving more like-minded people, and I didn't want to be isolated and feel like a lone wolf. And unfortunately, it wasn't as easy as that. And I really hope to instill the virtue of patience in you, because I know for myself, went through this really transformative year with some awesome people, and there was even some people part of that mastermind in the San Diego area. And it was like, this is it. I found the people. I made all the friends. It was that easy. I just had to say yes and push through the uncomfortability and out of my comfort zone in all these different areas, and I did it. But years later, hindsight, it wasn't the case. Because over time, especially with building relationships, some of those people that I thought were it were not actually it. And this is where the process to have patience, to know that you are going to see the true colors of people over time. So if I could go back into time and give myself tips, I'd say just stay patient. It's all going to unfold as it should. Because when building relationships, it becomes about having space, having patience. Build that with trust, or to build that trust with others. And this is to say that, first of all, you do have to be the one to take initiative, to put yourself outside of your comfort zone for that to even be a possibility. And as you do, I hope you can trust the process. Because even though locally I thought I had the friends that I've been looking for, and then ended up not being the case, but over a span of time, a year or so, as the real ones started to reveal themselves, well, then the real lifelong connections started developing. And this is to say that when you go out of your way to connect with people, with like-minded people, and then you get to create more experiences with them. And then as you do that, that's going to create more trust and more love. And then that's going to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And then fast forward 5 years, now, I could see how the tribe slowly grew. Now in the beginning, maybe it was just 1 or 2, and then after a little bit of time, it became 3 or 5, and then it just continues to grow. You could almost say exponentially grow as your network grows as well. But the formula is to really continue to push your comfort zone and find that area where those like-minded people are hanging out. And then be the initiator to develop a handful of meaning relationships out of those communities. And I could say because of this process, I've met so many awesome brothers. Even Lucky, who's shooting this video right now, from doing this exact thing. And as you develop those relationships, like I have with Lucky, the last part of the formula is to think about rhythm. What is that way you can create some rhythm of connection? And I could share this is how the organization that helped co-founded Divine Embodied got started, which we started with men's retreats, Divine Masculine Embodied. And it started by intentionally creating space for ourselves on a quarterly basis to go get together. And this is to say, as men and entrepreneurs and with families and everything else and people in all different walks of life, by making this space to connect, to grow alongside of each other, we've been able to create some of the most beautiful bonds that you can. Really, I'd say worth more than its weight in gold. So this is the process of how you can start to find that soul tribe. You don't have to feel alone as you go through the process of growth, as you go through your evolution. And to really highlight the path again, right? It starts by finding that possibility of community, and then going outside your comfort zone to join that, whether it means investing, whether it means making time that you don't have, whether it means going to the other side of the world when you never traveled, whatever that is for you. And then as you do that, being the initiator, even if it's only 1 to 2 people in the beginning, to start that connection. And then from there, creating space in your life and rhythm to develop that connection. And if you continue to do that over time, you will create the greatest wealth there is, relationships with other like-minded individuals who can push, who can support you, who can help you evolve. And I could share from my own journey, reflecting back on the past 5 years from actually being and truly feeling like a lone wolf to now creating this soul tribe. I can truly say it's one of the greatest treasures of my life. To know that I have this next level of support of people who just want to see me grow and see me expand and step into that next version of greatness is hard to put into words, honestly. And just by the fact of you watching this video, you absolutely have the possibility to have this in your life as well. And why can I say that? Well, one of my missions is to help grow the organization of Divine Embodied, which the vision is us having men's and women's retreats solely for men to be around other men and grow brotherhood, solely for sisters to spend time with their sisters so they could heal on their own time, as well as coming together once or twice a year. So if you have been looking for a community of like-minded individuals, people who are just committed to growth, committed to accepting who they are fully and not wearing as many masks and just shining their divine potential, their divine light, and walking the path towards unconditional love, well, this is your invitation to visit www.divineembodied.com. Because you do have to do the inner work alone, but that doesn't mean you have to walk the path alone. So the final nugget I will give you, being the alchemist that you are, is one of the first rules of alchemy, and that is to make haste slowly. And then as you make haste slowly, as you have the virtue of patience, build over time, and then make sure to listen to your gut, but be the one to go outside your comfort zone. If you listen to the last 2 episodes ago, you'll have the tools to break through the fear of pain or pain of fear, and then you can be that initiator. You can create those connections, and then do that with consistency and be intentional about creating rhythms and creating awesome experiences, and you will have your ohana or your chosen family. So thank you for being part of this journey. And if it calls out to you, I look forward to seeing you at one of the Divine Embodied retreats.